As somebody that grew up on government assistance and food stamps, I'm not mad at Trump at all for cutting some of the government benefits that they're giving out, because y'all, let's not act as if people aren't abusing this. Let's not act as if we ain't got an epidemic of people who just don't want to go to work because they expect the government to take care of them. I saw two people on TikTok the other day arguing, and it was a man and a woman, and the man wanted to go to work. The woman was mad at him, yelling at him, would not let him go to work because of the fact if they found out about his income, she would lose her government-funded housing and she would lose her benefits. And she would not let the man go to work because she didn't want to lose that. And I think that's an issue in America, bro. Like, there's a lot of people that do that. Y'all, if Trump is opening up more jobs, then you should want to get up and go work and not have to depend on the government.
Now you making too much sense, young man. You talking about people that actually do want to work, and what we've created in this society, and it's been happening since probably way before I was born, because I remember back in the 80s when I was born, early in the 80s. I know I'm dating myself here. I remember early in the 80s where, and in the 90s and in the 2000s, now that I'm thinking about it, I remember people, women specifically, actually still being in a relationship with the children and the father's child, and they had no problem making sure that they went down to the offices, the social services offices, and would basically say, yo, I don't know where he is, I don't know who he is, or whatever, I need help. And they would get all of the welfare, all of the food stamps, all of the social services, and all of the Section 8. And they were incentivized to continue to have children, because the more children you had, the more of a bigger tax return you got, and the more you could take advantage of the system. And so it was almost like it was something that you didn't necessarily have to debate against because it was so normal. You know what I'm saying? Like, the system was supposed to be built so that you can ultimately get yourself out of this situation and find yourself actually working and being a contributing member of society. The children themselves were ashamed. They were ashamed to actually be on social services. So, if your friends found out that you lived in a project, or, back then they actually had physical food stamps. It was looking like money, but it was like fake money. It was like monopoly money. And it came on a little thing that you tear it off. And when you went to the store and you actually paid with food stamps, you could get laughed at. And so it was shamed for the children, but it was embraced by the mothers, and they leveraged it in order to continue to run it up. And so when I see people on the internet complaining, and let's be clear, I only see women. I don't know what the hell is happening. I only see women complaining about food stamps. I only see them complaining about social services. I only see them complaining about welfare, but they keep having children. They keep on having kids.
So apparently, for ladies now getting food stamps, if you got a job, you are allowed to get food stamps. See, back in the day, it used to be if you didn't have a job, you would qualify for food stamps, or you would get the maximum. Now, if you working, you get food stamps. If you not working, you don't get food stamps. Ain't that some new shit? I'm sitting here thinking to myself, Trump is changing the game. This fool ain't playing with y'all. Y'all got to understand, this man signed 200 white pieces of paper saying this is what he believes in. Now, how can y'all not ride with?
You want the truth about the big, beautiful bill, HR 1? I took that 1,000-page bill and asked ChatGPT to tell me the unvarnished truth about it. No spin, total honesty. And the answer was appalling. Here's what it told me, and I just had to share it with everyone. It starts off, HR 1 is not just a budget. It's an ideological restructuring of the country. Ideological restructuring of the country. A brutal reversal of everything we've built to protect people, the planet, and basic economic fairness. This bill guts, slashes, and rewires the very role of government, so it serves the rich and punishes everyone else. First off, it wages war on the poor. Food stamps, SNAP benefits, strangled by harsh new work requirements and benefit caps. Medicaid, ripped away from millions through red tape and tighter eligibility. Administrative costs shoved onto states, thus forcing them to shrink or kill programs outright. Immigrants, even legal ones, are pushed out of the safety net altogether. This is cruelty packaged as fiscal discipline. Next, it attacks students and education, puts caps on federal student loans for grad students. So hopefully they have the extra cash. Loan forgiveness programs are weakened or delayed, so good luck escaping debt. Pell Grants are narrowed just when college costs are exploding. Protections for students scammed by for-profit colleges, gone. So if you're trying to climb out of poverty through education, this bill prohibits that. Then it annihilates climate progress. Every major clean energy tax credit, EVs, solar panels, heat pumps, it's all terminated. Methane reduction funds, it's erased. Environmental justice grants, it's gone. Oil and gas leasing on public lands, supercharged. It's not climate policy, it's a love letter to fossil fuel CEOs, practically written in oil and signed in smoke. And while they're cutting your future to ribbons, here's where the money goes. Straight up the ladder. Trump-era billionaire tax cuts, they're made permanent. Corporate loopholes are widened. Write-offs multiplied. Defense contractors, border walls, big oil, all funded, and then some. If you are a CEO, this bill is a dream. If you're anybody else, it's a knife, and let that sink in. So in an everyday recap, just kind of in my layman's terms, if you're poor, we'll starve you. If you're sick, we'll abandon you. If you're a student, we'll bury you in debt. If you're an immigrant, we'll strip you of dignity. If you're working class, you exist to be taxed, surveilled, and discarded. All of this wrapped in a flag, signed with a grin, marketed as freedom. This isn't fiscal conservatism. It's corporate authoritarianism dressed as patriotism. It's a future where government still writes giant checks, but only to military, billionaires, oil companies, and private prisons. Everyone else, you're on your own. Sink or swim while they stand on your back either way. They're not trimming the fat, they're cutting muscle. They're dismantling the things that ordinary people need to even have a chance. Healthcare, food, education, clean air, a fair tax code, basic stuff. And once it's gone, we won't get it back without a fight. This isn't about left or right anymore. It's about this country and if it's even survivable for the people who actually live in it. If this video was any type of help or informative to you, share it like our lives depend on it, because it does.
All right, I've heard way too much fake information over the last 24 hours about the One Big Beautiful Bill. So it's time we play Mythbusters Big Beautiful Bill Edition. Let's go. Myth: it's just a tax cut for billionaires. Here's the fact. It's the largest middle and working class tax cut in American history, putting over $10,000 a year back into the pockets of hardworking families. Here's another myth. It hurts the poor. Here's the fact. Low-income workers get the biggest percentage tax cut. It boosts paychecks, expands the child tax credit, and revitalizes opportunity zones. Want another? It cuts Medicaid. But here's a fact. It protects Medicaid for pregnant women, kids, seniors, and people with disabilities, and removes illegal aliens and fraud that have overwhelmed the system. It protects Medicaid. Here's another myth. It's a corporate handout. No, there's no tax on tips, no tax on overtime. Small businesses win, workers win. It's a blue-collar boom. Here's another myth. It increases the deficit. It reduces the deficit by $2 trillion, actually, by driving economic growth and cutting waste across government programs. Here's another one. It's packed with pork. But every word in this bill is a campaign promise kept by Trump. And the only new spending? Border security, paid for by higher visa fees and foreigners. Here's the bottom line. The One Big Beautiful Bill cuts taxes, protects the vulnerable, secures the border, and puts America first. Forget the spin. This is the truth. Follow for more.
The Big Beautiful Bill passed, and Donald Trump says he wants to sign it, put it into effect before July the 4th. So when this happens, there will be no more taxes on overtime, on tips, on Social Security. That's all gone. But one thing, I'm all for the bill because of the no taxes on overtime and stuff, especially for a lot of people. But one thing I don't agree with is there's going to be no more food stamps. And I'm the typical guy where I'm like, well, get off your fucking lazy ass and go get a job. But here's the thing. A lot of people are working 2 jobs. They've got 2, 3, 4 kids. And I know you're thinking, well, they shouldn't have had all them kids. Here's the thing. It ain't the fucking kids' fault. One thing I don't agree with is cutting the food stamps out, because there's going to be a lot of families don't have the money to buy the groceries to feed their kids. And there's no kid, no matter the circumstance, there's no way in hell any young kid should go without food, should have to be hungry. So that's one downside to it. The no taxes on overtime, no taxes on tips, no taxes on, so that's great. But what about the fucking kids, man? It's crazy. Going to be a lot of kids that aren't going to get to eat, man. Going to be a lot of families that aren't going to be able to put food on the table. And, fuck them, but sad for the kids.
I'm so sick and tired of y'all Trump haters out there. Y'all gonna keep lying on this bill, knowing damn well you didn't read none of that bill. You just repeated what they told you on CNN and MSDNC. But don't worry about it. I went and read it, and I'm gonna show you exactly what it says. Here the work requirements straight from the big, beautiful bill for healthy, poor people who can go to work. And it says so right here. If you want your Medicaid, the individual works not less than 80 hours, meaning you must put in 80 plus hours of work. You must put in 80 plus hours of community service. You must put in 80 plus hours of a work program. You must put in at least half time of an educational program. And the individual can either have a combination of any of these. So you can put in 20 hours here, 20 hours here, 20 hours here, 20 hours there, or 40 and 40, however you want to break it down. Let's move on to the next. Right here, for everybody who's saying that he's taking it away from poor people, the individual has a monthly income that is not less than the applicable minimum wage requirements under Section 6 of the Fair Labor Standards Act of 38 multiplied by 80. So that means if the minimum wage in your state is $7.25 and you multiply that times 80, what is that, 580? So you must make at least $580 or more to be able to qualify for the Medicaid. Next. Right here, and it shows you here all the able-bodied adults without dependent work requirement. Here you go for everybody who continues to lie. If you are under the age of 18 or over the age of 65, you're exempt. So old folks, you good. It says it right here. If you're medically certified as physically or mentally unfit for employment, you're good. If it says a parent or other member of a household with responsibility for a dependent child under 7 years of age, you're good. Who else is exempt? Pregnant women, homeless, veterans, someone who's 24 years of age or younger and was in foster care under the responsibility of a state on the date of attaining 18 years of age or such higher age as the state has elected under Section 457 of the Social Security Act. So y'all need to stop telling these lies that the poor people about to lose their Medicaid, that old folks about to lose their Medicaid. There are requirements and there are people who are exempt. Y'all need to go and read that bill and stop listening to the liberal, leftist, lunatic, legacy, nonsense media.
Let's talk about the big beautiful bill, because unfortunately for the left, it hasn't sunk in for them yet that you don't make the poor rich by making the rich poorer, although they are trying their darndest and bankrupting all of us in the process. You see, they would have you believe that just because something is helpful for upper class Americans, it must inherently be harmful for lower and middle class Americans, but that couldn't be further from the truth, and I'm going to actually substantiate that to you rather than just fear-mongering. For example, one of the main goals of this bill is to make permanent the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which was a major win for lower and middle class Americans who saw their household incomes rise by $5,000, as well as their wages increase by 5%. On top of that, we're going to be seeing taxes removed from tips for service workers who usually fall into those categories. Obviously, they are going to be depositing that money back into the economy, which is going to help to be boosting it. We're also going to be seeing a $10,000 tax deduction for people who buy American-made automobiles. Obviously, that's going to be very helpful for people buying the vehicle, on top of the automobile industry as a whole, which the Democrats bankrupted by overtaxing that industry until they decided to go overseas where it was cheaper. Trump is also working on bringing fossil fuels back to America, where we are going to be seeing American providers. Unlike Biden, who actually bankrupted the Keystone Pipeline, pulled funding, and then told those middle working class Americans that if they wanted a job, they should probably go learn how to code. But yeah, tell me again how it's the right that's hurting the working class? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. On top of that, we're also going to be seeing a tax credit for both children and for the elderly. Many people on the left are trying to fearmonger and say that he's pulling benefits from those who need it the most. No, he's not. If you actually read the bill, you see the benefits are being slashed from people who don't need it, but instead have been leeching off of our government. For example, with SNAP, it's specifically going after able-bodied Americans who have no dependents. So people who are choosing not to work. We have plenty of open jobs. They are choosing not to take those positions so that they could just live off of the government, live off of the taxpayer dollars, and that is going to be stopping and saving us plenty of money. He's not taking it away from Americans who actually need it. People are also trying to say that he's going after important benefits such as Medicaid, but if you look at where the Medicaid is being pulled from, it's being pulled from Planned Parenthood. That is something that should have been stopped funding a long time ago. All they do is take the lives of innocent children, and that is where they are making the majority of their profits. That is not where American taxpayer dollars should be going, and in fact, it's actually being rerouted to places like rural hospitals, as well as medical clinics on a state level. That is where that money should be going, and should have always been going from the very, very start of things. Many people are trying to say that because this bill is expensive, it's going to be bankrupting us, but that's not what the Council of Economic Advisors say. They actually say that the GDP is expected to grow by 4.2%, and we are going to see investments rise by 19%. So sure, this bill is going to be helpful to the wealthy, the wealthy who invest in people's businesses, who create jobs for Americans, who do all of these wonderful things, who invest their own money and take their own risks in order to advance the United States as a whole, but it's also going to bring up the lower and middle class because you don't have to bring anybody down to make America great again. It's not just going to be lining the pockets of Wall Street, it's also going to be putting gas in your car and food on your table.
The Council of Economic Advisors is not saying the same thing that y'all saying about this big, beautiful bill, and I wonder why. Could y'all be misleading people again? Could y'all be misguiding people again with y'all unethical literature? I think so. I think y'all not telling people the truth of the matter. I don't think y'all actually giving people what they need to know. I think y'all just try to scare people or manipulate them or misguide them, because that's what I'm saying. And the people that are being misguided and manipulated, why y'all not doing no research? Why y'all taking everybody's word for it? Why y'all only watching the news? The news is not gonna give you everything you can use. I promise you. But while we're on the topic of the big, beautiful bill, everyone's in an outrage about Medicaid. Are y'all familiar with where the Medicaid industry is funding? Is what they're pulling is from Parent Parenthood. They're pulling it from Parent Parenthood. They're not pulling it from no one's who's in need. They are trying to defund people that were getting funded improperly. Immigrants, Parent Parenthood, people that are scamming, people that are probably dead that's been still receiving benefits. Like, they're cleaning up the system. You can only clean the system up one way, and that's by making cuts. Stop being so in an uproar when y'all hear the word make cuts. That means we're budgeting. That doesn't mean we're ending the program. That doesn't mean no one's getting Medicaid. That doesn't mean no one getting food stamp, no one's getting benefits from the government anymore. Like, some of y'all don't even apply. Like, the rules don't even apply to some of y'all, and some of y'all just being such an uproar for nothing. Y'all be letting things on the internet manipulate y'all way of thinking when you can just go research something and read the fine print yourself, and you can see who this applies to, what it applies to, what are the stipulations. Y'all never pay attention to the stipulations, but y'all always read the headlines and y'all read the highlighted. And 9 times out of 10, that's the stuff that's popular and it's gonna get the most backlash. And then 9 times out of 10, it don't even be what people saying it is. Y'all just taking it and running with it. That's why people get catfished and clickbaited so much nowadays. Like, seriously. Like, y'all gotta take things into your own hand and actually do the research for yourself. The child tax credit is gonna be $2,500. The taxes are gonna remain from when Trump was in office last time. The same taxes that it was last time when he was in office is gonna be remaining. The elderly are going to receive a bigger tax cut than normal. Like, it's just certain things that people have to pay attention to and say, that kind of don't sound right to me. Let me go see for myself. You gonna believe everything a person tell you? They say the sky falling. You gonna stay in the house all day? Or you gonna go outside and see? Or you gonna look through your window and see? Look through your window in life. There's nothing wrong with it. I promise there's nothing wrong with it. It's a few more things, like they funding the military. They still beefed up security in America for the defense policies, for the immigration, for it's a lot of things. And a lot of things you might not agree with. Just like I said, some things I don't agree with, but it's not up to me to always point out my pros and cons of what I do and do not agree with. It ain't up to me to do that, because sometimes that might startle people and that might have a person thinking one way when things are going a whole opposite direction. And another thing they keep talking about, cutting food stamps. They're not cutting food stamps for people that necessarily need it or people that are eligible. They're cutting food stamps for people that's finessing. They're cutting food stamps for people that are not eligible. Like I said, everything we're not going to agree with, everything you're not going to agree with, everything is not going to always be in your favor. Sometimes you got to count your days when it comes to certain things, especially if you know it wasn't legitimate. So like I said, they also cutting food stamps for people that was like immigrants. Immigrants was coming over here getting free food stamp, free housing. Like a lot of that is cutting back on those type of people. And like I said, I have nothing against the immigrants. I promise you I don't. But it is what it is when it comes to the law and the land and our protection of our kids, of our future, of our economy. Like, I'm also hearing a lot of people say stuff like, oh, we're going to be trillions in dollars in debt. You know how long America been in debt? When did y'all start caring about how much America was actually in debt? Like, I'm hearing people that I know that don't care about the economy and about the well-being of others. They only care about their household. But now all of a sudden, y'all are voicing y'all opinion about how much and how many trillions and billions of dollars America's gonna be in debt. Be real, like stop it. Y'all ain't never care about what got funded. Y'all trying to get funded, and that's cool. There's nothing wrong with caring about your household and y'all well-being. But stop trying to voice your opinion just to be heard about irrelevant topics that you really don't care about. Like, if you know you don't do no research on it, but you only gonna research it just to speak on a topic, what's your point? What's your purpose? Like, if it's not in you, that means it's on you. So that means certain things you're not going out your way to really care about. So if you really don't care about, why are you even voicing your opinion just to have something to say, just to get people in an uproar? Like, it don't make no sense. Like, y'all gotta actually stop that. And y'all also have to let people develop. Like, let the president be a president. If y'all see all the things from thus far have not been working, why not try a new method? That's the reason why we in the position we in now, because people are just laying down. Nobody's standing up for nothing. But when y'all see other people do something, then y'all quick to, but it has to start somewhere. And if you made it this far in my video, all I want you to know is, before you argue with me, just do your research. Like I told you, Medicaid, not cut. It protects. This bill protects Medicaid for the seniors. It protects Medicaid for the pregnant women, for the children, for the disabled. It protects. Do your research, please. That's all I ask y'all. Every video that I make, I just ask y'all to do your own research. You don't have to take my word for it, but don't take some goofball word for it, because they trying to get clickbait or they trying to get some views just to misguide you. And so you can say, look, I told y'all, look, y'all. No. Whoever making them videos, they ain't reading no fine print. I promise you they not. They're not reading no fine print. They're not doing no legitimate research. They scrubbing the surface. And when you scratch the surface, you only get a little bit. You don't get the interior, you get the exterior. And that's what a lot of people not seeing, is deeper than what people just be saying. The title does not tell the description.
They just voted to give Trump the ability, legally, to give him the ability to deport U.S. citizens. That is what they voted for. A bunch of elected U.S. representatives. That is how they voted.
I swear these politicians leave out so much context. They make you fearful that you are going to walk down the street and get swooped up by ICE and sent away to some random country. No, this is about birthright citizenship, which my personal opinion is absolutely ridiculous. We are one of the only developed countries that even offers birthright citizenship because it is so ridiculous. You don't just get to come to a country illegally, break the law 100%, and then pop out a baby and think that that is your golden ticket, that is your anchor child. You are now untouchable. What? That doesn't even make sense. That's not how sovereign nations work. And apparently the US having basic immigration standards that majority of other countries have is absolute cruelty. If someone broke into your house and had a baby, you wouldn't say that that baby now lives there because they were born in that house. No, I'm sorry. You gotta go with your mama too. Got other kids to feed. I have other things to worry about. You gotta get in line. There's other people that want to move in with me too. Please, people, stop being ridiculous.
They never saw this coming. All across America, Democrats swore up and down that President Trump's big, beautiful bill was going to be this nightmare, a so-called cold-hearted plan to rip health care away from millions. Chuck Schumer said that it would be the biggest cut to Medicaid in American history. Elizabeth Warren, she was shrieking about how it was going to throw Americans under the bus for billionaires. But here's what they never told you. The big, beautiful bill isn't about ripping away care from the people who actually needed it. It's about ripping out the fraud that's been draining your wallet for years. Now, today, history just flipped upside down. The big, beautiful bill passed the Senate. Vice President J.D. Vance, he broke the tie. And guess what? Chuck Schumer, Elizabeth Warren, and the entire Dem machine, they never saw it coming. And you know who else didn't see it coming? The millions of illegal freeloaders, able-bodied fraudsters, the shady insiders who have been milking Medicaid while you and I pay the price. Now, stick with me, guys, because in today's video, I'm going to expose exactly who got cut off, why the big, beautiful bill just delivered the biggest win for working-class Americans in decades, and how President Trump's strategic move, it's about to put up to $10,000 back into your family's pocket while crushing the Medicaid, the swamp's Medicaid scam for good, because it's a big old scam I need to tell you guys about. Now, drop a quick 10K in the comments down below if you'd like to see 10K hit your bank account. Now, if you think that you've heard the real story, guys, trust me, you have not. So be sure to subscribe, buckle up, because this is the truth behind President Trump's big, beautiful bill that they never wanted you to see. So, and I appreciate you guys hitting the like button and supporting the channel. You guys are amazing. All right, folks. So I want to break down exactly why today just made history. Now, this wasn't just another boring Senate vote. This was actually a vote for something that mattered. This was President Trump's big, beautiful bill surviving every dirty trick, every smear, every fake headline that they could throw at it, and winning. So picture this, guys. The Senate chamber locked in a dead heat, 49 for 49 against all the lobbyists and the swamp creatures holding their breath. And then who walks in? Calm as ever. Vice President J.D. Vance. He doesn't even flinch, man. He doesn't waffle. He bangs the gavel, breaks the tie, and ultimately delivers the single most important vote of this entire session. One man, one gavel, and suddenly billions of dollars in wasted fraud gone. Now, you want to talk about unity here, guys? This wasn't just the hardcore conservatives pulling for Trump. This was smart strategy. You had moderates, the Freedom Caucus, the blue-collar Republicans from farm states, factory states, all lining up behind one mission: pass the big, beautiful bill, or watch the swamp eat working people alive for another decade. They called it impossible. They mocked it. They leaked it wouldn't pass. And yet here we are. President Trump's impossible tax shield from fraud cleanup just steamrolled its way through the Senate. And every taxpayer in this country should be taking a deep breath tonight because this is your win. Now, here's the real kicker, guys, because the Senate fight is just the surface of the story. The real panic, that's on the faces of Chuck Schumer, Warren, and every top Democrat hack who spent the last month screaming about Medicaid. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, guys. For weeks, they ran out to like every camera that they could find, every blue collar.
Trump said you can only get on Section 8 if you're a veteran or a disabled person. Now listen, I agree. If you are of sound mind and good health, you need to get up and figure it out just like the rest of us. Stop having kids so you can ride the wave. The government shouldn't have to help you. At the end of the day, we're all independent. We can get up and grind. Do it like I do it. What do you mean? Why not? We're sick of people just riding the government's wave. Oh, don't worry about it. I'm going to just get housing, pay half of my rent, and then use these food stamps. If I need more, I'm going to just pop out another baby. What? What happened to go get it out the mud? What happened to work hard for what you want? What happened to that type of thing? You should leave that for people who really need it. People who are missing organs. People who have, they mentally can't, you know what I'm saying? People who need this type of help. Y'all don't. Let's be honest. Y'all don't.
If you're wondering who could lose SNAP benefits if the bill that is being voted on right now goes through, I have the answers for you in this video. Be sure to interact, like, comment, share, send it to people who need this information. Adults age 55 to 64, basically any adult under the age of 65. So the new stricter work requirements raise the age of mandatory work study participation from 49 to as high as 65. So under this one, about 6 million adults in that age group could be disqualified. Parents with children age 7 and older. The bill redefines the exempt dependent child from under 18 to under 7. Single parents with children between 7 and 17 would have to meet 80 hours a month of work or volunteering to keep SNAP. Many could fall out of eligibility. Even those employed, like the mom juggling 2 jobs and school in Maryland, may be disenrolled due to bureaucratic burdens and tightened eligibility rules. Veterans, homeless, and other vulnerable groups, these groups are not exempt from the new requirements and would face the same work-study volunteering rules. Rural poor areas could see massive losses. For example, Houston's 5th Ward in Texas could lose up to 155,000 SNAP recipients. The CBO estimates over 2 million SNAP beneficiaries could lose benefits. Some reports suggest up to 6 million adults could be affected by the work requirement shift. The House bill alone would cut nearly $300 billion from SNAP funding through 2034. To me, the most concerning part of this is the parents of children 7 or older. So that means if a mom has 3 kids and they're 7, 8, and 9, and she can't work because daycare in the United States is insane, she's going to lose her SNAP benefits. Even if she works part-time, she's going to lose her SNAP benefits. Everybody needs to know about this. Everybody should know what's on the line here, because I really don't think that people realize how deep these cuts go and how many people are going to be impacted.
Trump's big beautiful bill has officially passed, representing one of the largest tax cuts in U.S. history. This bill will lower tax rates, increase deductions, and create several incentives that will allow savvy taxpayers to greatly reduce their taxes. But there is a lot of confusion about what exactly has passed at this point, leaving many people wondering how this new bill will affect their wallets at the end of the day, or what they can do to benefit from this bill. So in this video, I'm going to give you a simple, straightforward, and no-nonsense explanation of what to expect from this as a practicing CPA that helps people use the tax code to reduce their taxes every day at mycpacoach.com. If that sounds good to you, please hit the like button below, comment your thoughts as we go through this, and let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, so let's start with the provisions that will impact almost everyone watching this. Like number 1, the permanent decrease to the individual tax rates. This is quite literally the most expensive provision in this tax bill, expecting to reduce government tax revenues by over $2 trillion over the next decade. Or in other words, this is putting $2 trillion back into our pockets. Now, the 2017 tax cuts reduced several tax brackets, like the 39.6 bracket down to 37%, the 25% bracket down to 22%, and the 15% tax bracket down to just 12%. These tax rate reductions were originally temporary in nature and were set to expire at the end of 2025. But this bill will make those reductions permanent. Now let's move on to number 2, the permanent increase to the standard deduction, which 90% of taxpayers claim at this time. So the 2017 tax cuts more than doubled this deduction, but that temporary increase was also set to expire at the end of 2025. This bill not only extends this deduction, but it also makes it permanent. This change alone is projected to save taxpayers over $1 trillion over the next decade. It also makes temporary upgrades to the itemized deduction, which taxpayers can choose to take instead of the standard deduction when it is more beneficial for them. So prior to this bill passing, there was a lot of fuss about the SALT deduction, which allows people to write off their state and local taxes on their federal income tax return. Well, the 2017 tax cut capped those write-offs to just $10,000. Which actually negatively impacted many taxpayers in high tax states like New York, California, New Jersey, and so on. Because if you paid higher than $10,000 in state and local taxes or property taxes, then you were unable to write off more of those expenses on your tax returns. This bill temporarily increases the cap to $40,000 through the end of 2029, which will make the itemized deduction more beneficial for millions of taxpayers. But that's not the only temporary upgrade here. This bill will also allow taxpayers to write off up to $10,000 of their car loan interest on qualifying vehicles through the end of 2028. Now, this would only apply to newly purchased American-made cars and would be subject to income limitations depending on your filing status. And if you do qualify for this, you will be able to take this deduction even if you do not claim the itemized deduction. Also, if you have children, you may also benefit from the new child tax credit. This is another provision that was set to expire at the end of 2025, which would have caused the child tax credit to go from $2,000 down to just $1,000 per qualifying child. This bill extends this and increases the child tax credit to $2,200 per child, which is expected to save taxpayers nearly $800 billion in taxes over the next decade. Now, this credit will continue to phase out based on your income, starting at $200,000 for single taxpayers or $400,000 for married taxpayers. This bill also increases the senior tax deduction for individuals over the age of 65. Prior to this bill, seniors were only entitled to a $2,000 additional deduction or $3,200 if they filed with a qualifying spouse. This bill increases that deduction to $6,000 for each qualifying individual, which is subject to income limitations based on their filing status. But considering the fact that this bill fell short of delivering on the no tax on Social Security promise, this is the least they can do for seniors, in my personal opinion. Anyway, while we're speaking of no taxes, let's go ahead and address the no tax on overtime promise as well here. Now, despite the name, all overtime wages will not be exactly exempt from taxation. What this bill does is it allows certain individuals to take a deduction against their overtime wages, which will effectively result in no tax on that portion of their income up to certain limits anyway. This bill will grant single taxpayers up to a $12,500 deduction against their overtime wages and married individuals up to $25,000 of a deduction against those same wages. And this deduction will also be subject to income limitations as well, beginning to phase out for single taxpayers with over $150,000 in taxable income and over $300,000 for married taxpayers filing jointly. There are similar income limitations to the no tax on tips provisions in this bill as well. This bill allows a deduction against qualified tip income up to $25,000 and is subject to the same income limitations we just saw. And qualified tips, by the way, is defined as tips received in an occupation where an individual customarily and regularly receives tip income. This will apply to employees and certain business owners that provide hospitality services, personal care, transportation, and certain creative and retail services as well. However, specialized service trades or businesses do not qualify for this, like doctors, lawyers, accountants, dentists, or really any business where the reputation or skill of the provider is the main thing people are paying for. And speaking of businesses, let's go ahead and address some of the biggest tax provisions in this bill for them as well, like the permanent extension of the QBI deduction, which will literally save business owners billions in taxes over the next decade. So the QBI deduction was originally introduced in 2017, which granted qualifying business owners an immediate 20% deduction against their qualifying business income. For example, a business owner with $150,000 in qualifying income would get a $30,000 tax deduction to use against that income. And for individuals earning below a certain threshold of income, they would automatically qualify for this deduction as long as they had some form of self-employment income, whether it be through an S-Corp, a partnership, a single member LLC, or an unincorporated business like a side gig, for instance. Then this deduction starts to phase out for certain types of higher income business owners with specialized trades or businesses. But not all business owners are actually subject to those income limitations. And prior to this bill, this provision was going to completely expire at the end of 2025, but this bill permanently extends this provision for good. Plus, it increases the income thresholds to qualify by $25,000 to $50,000 depending on your filing status, which will allow certain high income earners to qualify for this under the new rules where they did not under the old rules. Some business owners will also have opportunities to segment their business structure to qualify for this, which could essentially allow them to split some of their business income into a structure that does allow them to qualify for the QBI deduction as well. To learn more about that, just comment QBI in the comments below. Now, in addition to the QBI deduction, there's another big tax incentive in this bill for business owners, the permanent extension of bonus depreciation, which is huge. Bonus depreciation grants an additional tax deduction against tangible business or investment property, like vehicles, machinery, equipment, furniture, fixtures, tools, and even things like aircrafts and yachts. Prior to this bill passing, this deduction was limited to just 40% in 2025, but this bill increases this rate back up to 100% for all qualified purchases made after January 19th of 2025. This will allow many business owners and investors to make strategic purchases that may help them earn more income while reducing their taxes at the same exact time. At our firm, we have helped our clients use bonus depreciation rules to offset their taxes when buying businesses, certain parts of real estate, or vehicles they need to operate their trade or business. Now, these are just some of the major changes for business owners, but this bill will also permanently extend 100% R&D expensing as well, which will virtually allow any business that is developing or improving upon any product, process, technique, formula, or software to write off 100% of qualifying research and development expenses as opposed to receiving a partial deduction. It also permanently renews and enhances the Opportunity Zone tax credit, which has allowed investors to defer and avoid capital gains taxes when making investments into qualified Opportunity Zone funds. I will be creating several in-depth video guides that go into many of these tax provisions in greater detail, so make sure you subscribe to our channel to stay in the loop on those, and also drop a comment below and let me know which of these you're the most interested in learning more about. Also, if you need help implementing some of these strategies and your CPA is not helping you plan around these type of things, just apply to work with my team today at mycpacoach.com. Thank you for watching.
Now, here's what the Democrats are not telling you about President Trump's one big, beautiful bill. They don't want you to know that you are going to keep money in your own pocket. Number one, they make the 2017 tax cuts permanent. So all those tax cuts that you got, they're permanent. Actually, for small businesses, the deduction goes up, the carryover deduction from 20% to 23%. So actually save more money. Everything else is permanent. Now, they don't want you to know that they've increased the standard deduction for single filers, married filers. They've increased the standard deduction for children. Those deductions went up. You save money there. They also don't want you to know that there's a car loan deduction. So if you take out a car loan and the car is made in America, newsflash, you're going to be able to write off that interest. They didn't tell you that. They didn't tell you there's an enhanced senior deduction, another $4,000 tax credit, under $75,000 single, under $150,000 income jointly. That's for seniors. That comes right off the top. They won't tell you about that. They won't tell you that there's no more tax on tips, retroactive all the way back to January. So all this money you've made this year so far on tips in the gig economy, on Uber or Insta or Instacart or driving Lyft or a server, whatever you've done, newsflash, you're in great shape. Why are you in great shape? You're not getting taxed. You work overtime, you're a cop, you're a fireman, you're a construction worker, you get overtime pay, you're trying to feed your family. Guess what? All those taxes you paid, that's coming back to you. There's no tax on overtime. They've also increased the tax credit by $500 for each child. There's also a trust fund, the Trump Trust Fund for Child. You can put money away and have that not taxed. This is the greatest piece of legislation for the American worker that's ever been passed. And the Democrats are lying to you every day because they want power. They're against President Trump's one big, beautiful bill in lockstep because it ends their grift of exploiting the American people. Republicans, on the other hand, that have voted for this, they want to save this country because it's going off a cliff. We can't afford what's going on. But the main thing is they want the economy to get booming. A great economy is what the Democrats don't want. They root every day for people to lose their jobs, for the stock market to go down, 401ks to go down. They're rooting against the American people. They want everything to go bankrupt. They don't want you to have any money. They want you to go to the food line for a food box and depend on them because, look, they need chaos in order to keep control. It's all about power.
Why is nobody talking about the positive things about the big, beautiful bill that has since been signed into law? The only thing I hear people being upset about is what they're repeating. They saw Kamala Harris and Obama tweet about. Has anybody actually read the bill? Because it's like 900 something pages. Well, let me go ahead and tell you guys some of the things that are in this bill that I don't hear people talking about, okay? The tax deductions that you can get for purchasing an American car versus a foreign vehicle. An extra $1,000 for every child that's born between the years of 2025 and 2028. Higher child tax credit. So whatever it was before, it's going to be higher now. No taxes on not just tips, but overtime. So a lot of you guys putting in that extra 16, 12-hour shift, no longer taxed. Older people are also now qualified to get more money on their taxes at the end of the year. The bill also helps a lot of small businesses get tax deductions and be able to write off a lot of things that they weren't able to write off before, or write off more of what they weren't able to write off before because it was capped at a certain amount. It also helps bigger companies who help their employees with childcare. Now, when I was working at Bank of America, that was one of the things that Bank of America did help with was childcare. So now they get to write off a higher percentage of that. So all I keep hearing people talk about is, oh, well, what about Medicaid or Medi-Cal for California? If you guys are mad that he wants you guys to go and get a job and he wants it to only be for people who actually really need it, I cannot tell you how many people I have witnessed, seen, heard completely bleed the system. I'm telling you, passing down Section 8 from generation to generation to generation, staying on welfare, purposely having kids so that they can put those kids on welfare. It also is set up in a way that keeps you reliant on it because it will not help people who are actually working. It only helps those that sit at home and do absolutely nothing, which hurts your motivation because why the fuck would I go and work if I can get free healthcare, food stamps, and money to sit at home and pop out kids? And my rent is $25. So maybe this is the motivation that people need. I'm sorry. People need to do their own research. It's a 900 and something bill. And I only hear you guys talking about one or two things that you heard Democrats speak about.
Seeing how y'all are reacting to this big, beautiful bill just lets me know y'all do not understand how capitalism works and y'all really just want socialism. We have already seen that whenever the rich and the wealthy benefit from these tax breaks, it helps the lower and middle class. Y'all, who do you think owns these businesses and these companies, is investing in these companies, building these companies? The rich people. It ain't the lower and middle class, bruh. We're the workers. You see what I'm saying? So when they do good and they receive tax breaks, it trickles down and helps the lower and middle class. We already saw this in Trump's first term. He gave tax breaks to the rich people. The average household for the lower and middle class went up $5,000. Wages increased almost 5%. We already saw it, bro. Trump just made them same tax breaks that helped the American citizens in his first term. He made them permanent now. So the same thing is about to happen. Like, I don't understand why y'all feel as if we got to take away from the rich people just to help y'all out, bruh. Y'all didn't work for this. Y'all didn't work for the companies. Y'all ain't built nothing. Y'all ain't did nothing. Y'all just have some skills that can help production. That's it. Y'all ain't got no risk invested in this. Y'all got no money invested in these businesses. Y'all ain't hiring or employing nobody. Like, bro. And y'all think y'all deserve to be at the same level as the rich. Like the rich just got there doing nothing. Bro, I know so many people right now that could take the same money Donald Trump was handed and they would not turn that into billions of dollars. They would not do what most of these people who are investing in these companies do with that same money. They would blow it. Y'all, the GDP is expected to go up almost 5%. The investments are expected to go up at least 20% almost. Y'all, we've already seen billions of dollars come back into America in investments just in the last 6 months. We got people lined up all over the place trying to make deals. So what are we talking about?
Donald Trump can't run for president no more. Thank fucking God, okay? And I love Donald Trump. Don't get me wrong. Like, I love him as a person. I don't love the things that he do. I don't love the things that he agree with. Don't mean that I don't love him as a person. He's a boss. But this big ugly bill that he fucking signed, with everything bad comes the good. I mean, the child tax credit goes up to $2,200. ICE is now the largest law enforcement, which is not good at all, because why are we focusing on immigrants when there's so much other shit in America that needs to be fucking fixed, that you're worried about people who actually come over here and work, and fucking Americans don't even want to fucking work. But I digress. So yeah, I'm gonna actually dive into this bill, and I will post everything that's in there that I can, but you still got time. The good part is we still got time. There's some good to this. One, he cannot run for president anymore, and two, we still got fucking time because none of that shit goes into effect immediately. But royal towns like Rayville, Louisiana, your hospital's gonna close and a lot of people are gonna die.
To everyone telling me, go get a job, go get a regular job, you're so lazy. Why would I go out and get a job where I have to work when I make more money sitting at home on welfare than you do working 50 hours a week? Never there with your kids, always stressed out, always tired, with a college degree. I'm making more than you. And it's your job as a taxpayer to support me and my 6 children anyways. So no, I'm not going to go out and get a job. I get more in food stamps every month than your 2-week paycheck. I get more than over $4,000 a month in food stamps alone. That doesn't include the $2,200 a month in cash benefits I get every month. That doesn't include my Section 8 being paid. So my $1,100 rent, I don't pay. I pay $80 out of $1,100 every month. On top of 7 disability checks. $920 times 7. Add it up. That's why I'm not going to go get a regular job.
The government don't owe you nothing. Y'all mad at Trump because of the new rules and regulations he set in play, but the government don't owe you nothing. The government didn't make you lay down with that BS dude. The government didn't make you drop out of school. The government didn't make you mess with all these different cats or have 10 kids. The government didn't make you do that. So when they start snatching benefits away and y'all mad, oh, what about single parents? What about this? What about that? What if that never existed? What would you be doing? That's what you should be doing right now. What if that never existed? What if Section 8, food stamps, none of those things ever existed, housing? What if that never existed? What would you be doing if that never existed? So since they put it out there in the open for everybody to apply and see can they get approved for it, now everybody feels obligated to it. You're not obligated to get government assistance. You're not obligated to get housing, Section 8. Do what you would be doing if all of that never existed. That's what you do.
So my landlord just left my house. I get a knock at the door. It's Saturday, a little bit before noon. I open it. It's my landlord. I'll let her in. She hands me this. She's giving me 24-hour notice that Section 8 is not paying my June rent tomorrow. Rent is due tomorrow. $1,100. $1,100. She expects me to come up with. Because they are no longer paying my rent, I have to pay it out of my pocket. I don't work. I'm not going to work. I will never have a job, ever. How does the government expect me to keep a roof over my 6 kids' head without Section 8? Just because I've been on it for 13 years doesn't mean I don't need it anymore. I need it now more than ever. $1,100. And you expect me to come up with that in 24 hours. Or I have to get out. So pretty much I'm going to be out on the streets. Because there's no way I can come up with $1,100.
So this woman has been on Section 8 for 13 years, has 6 kids, and Section 8 sent her landlord a letter saying that they're not paying her rent this month. Her rent is $1,100. That's on the cheap end. She's saying that she cannot afford to pay it. 13 years she's been on Section 8. She's saying that she can't work, she won't work, and she will never get a job. You had 13 years to figure this shit out. And you don't got $1,100. You don't got a plan. You don't have a source of income. You have milked the system, robbed the system, and robbed your goddamn self and your kids. There's no sense in this. I don't understand no shit like this. You get help for 13 years, and you do nothing to support yourself, to build foundation for you and your family. And so now you're going to have to go and sell some coochie or get a job because you don't have a trade, you don't have a skill, you don't have a plan, babe. So don't come on here and put your problems onto us because I got enough of my own, babe. Mentally, I'm fucked up. I'm not in the mood for the bullshit. So don't come up here and try to stress me out because I'm not in the mood. And I'm being honest because your problems could have been avoided a long time ago.
Mr. President, on Medicaid, do you want work requirements phased in next year? Do you think
Here's what I want on Medicaid. We're not touching anything. All I want is one thing, 3 words. We don't want any waste, fraud, or abuse. Very simple. Waste, fraud, abuse. Other than that, we're leaving it. Medicare, we're leaving it. All we're after, and this is for the good of it, is a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse. That's all we're doing. We're not touching it. The Democrats are going to destroy it.
But do you want the work requirements moved up, sir? Do you want the work requirements moved up?
Wait, so am I still getting taxed on my tips on overtime? The answer is no. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime. It passed. Here's what you need to know. If you get overtime and you get tips, you'll still get taxed the same way you get taxed on your income. But now, at the end of the year when you file your taxes, you'll be able to deduct up to $25,000 of that overtime or tips. So yes, you're getting that money back. Another thing, this will only take place till 2028. By the way, this isn't Donald Trump's fault. He wanted no tax on tips and overtime, period. But the Senate said no, only till 2028. And by the way, Democrats said no to all of these. All Democrats voted no for you to continue to get taxed on your tips and to continue to get taxed on your overtime. Donald Trump wanted no taxes, period. But the Senate said no till 2028. Again, Democrats voted no. But some people want to say, well, I could only deduct $25,000. That's $25,000 you didn't have. But it's funny because people want to blame Trump for everything when he's actually trying to help people, just like he said he would. But these laws take a lot of time, and during the process of the House to the Senate, back to the House, they could be changed because they have to agree on something. And it's pretty hard when the left is saying no. But you won't hear that in the news, right? So in these next 3 years, take advantage of all these tax deductions and make the most money you've ever made in your life. But what are your thoughts on this? Don't forget to follow for more news and finance information. God bless.
They know they're not being honest when they call the one big beautiful bill a war on the poor. You can't scream that they're cutting off women and children when those exact women and children are literally protected in the bill. Now here's what's actually in it. Able-bodied adults aged 19 to 64 with no kids and no disability have to work 80 hours a month to stay on Medicare. That means 20 hours a week, not 60, not 80, just 20 hours. And it doesn't even have to be a job. Volunteering, job training, going to school, all of it counts. And before you say, but most people on Medicaid already work, you're right, they do. So who is this really about? It's about the ones who could work, but don't. It's not punishment. It's a push for them to participate. Same thing with SNAP. Yes, there are cuts. Yes, some states might reduce benefits. But again, able-bodied adults without dependents are the ones who are focused on. So if you're out here saying they're kicking moms off food stamps, either you haven't read the bill or you're just choosing to lie. Let me know what you think in the comments. Is this fair or is this foul?
They're lying. The new big beautiful bill that the Republicans are introducing is going through the House right now, which should pass, are cutting taxes on tips, cutting taxes on overtime. That has nothing to do with billionaires. They are not cutting taxes on billionaires. They're really cutting taxes for the working everyday person. And let me tell you the brilliance of it that nobody's talking about is that when you don't cut tips, when you cut taxes on tips and you cut taxes on overtime, you don't add any more money spent by businesses. You don't add any more demand by businesses, yet the people are getting a raise because they don't have to spend $40,000 of overtime or $40,000. They have to get taxed on it. It's giving a raise without asking for more from the employer or the city. Brilliant. Don't y'all find that funny that every single woman on this panel didn't vote for a Republican? Even the ones who claim to be Republican didn't vote for a Republican. It's a pony show, bro. It's all made up. They just put a person in name only to try to allude to diversity, but they're all Democrats.
Listen. Y'all know that big beautiful bill just passed, right? And I see people mad as right now. But listen, I'm going to tell you one thing. I don't get food stamps. Listen. Boy, they so hot right now. Look, my Uncle Donna T said, no more freebies. Take your ass to work. Come on over here to the real side, because guess what? Ain't shit wrong with you, baby. You've been lying to them folks and lying to them folks getting that damn family first. You've been getting them SNAP benefits. You've been getting anything pertaining to welfare. You've been getting it. Get what your ass got to do. Take your ass back to work. It ain't shit handy about your cap. Listen, I'm trying to tell you right now, my Uncle Donna T, he finna get ready to shrivel away, baby.
Y'all, Trump said after 32 hours on the work week, everything else is considered overtime. Man, can y'all believe that? Can y'all believe that after 32 hours, you automatically gonna get an extra 8 hours of work that's gonna be considered time and a half? That's gonna be considered time and a half. So that means if you one of them lazy people, you sitting around, you really don't like to work, oh, they don't pay me enough money. Well, look at this. Let's just say you make $10 an hour, right, y'all? You get an extra 8 hours automatically. Not even, just imagine the people that work 6 days a week, 7 days a week. Imagine the people who want to work an extra couple of hours a day. Just imagine that, y'all. So anything after 32 hours is considered overtime. Man, people winning automatically, y'all. Trump is the GOAT, y'all. Trump is the GOAT. Y'all got to give it up one time for Trump, man. All my real, true Trump supporters, man. Make sure y'all click that link in my bio. Go subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn the notifications on. Make sure y'all follow me on TikTok. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all, man. Mad love and respect. Without y'all, it wouldn't be no king, man.
Christian Democrats, come here. I need to talk to y'all real quick because I don't know what make you think the word in the Bible is giving you this assurance that you can be a follower of Christ and a Democrat at the same time. I'm confident when I say this. You can't. You just can't do it. not to say that all Democrats do this, but if you're a Democrat Christian, how you hate Trump? How can you hate Trump? Like literally hate Trump. The Bible tells you can't hate nobody. The Bible says, how can you say you love me but hate your brethren in which you can see? If you hate Trump, how are you saying that you're a Christian or a follower of Christ? The devil got you deceived. How can you say you're a follower of Christ and a Democrat when the Democratic Party promotes so much stuff that is anti-God? The first thing I'm going to tell you is rewriting of marriage. The Bible says God brings a man and a woman together to become one flesh. But the Democratic Party says that a man and a man and a woman can do this. And you don't oppose it. You still align and vote with it. Like, what? The Bible says, I knew you before you were in the womb. But people that say that they Christians and they love the Lord went out and voted for Kamala when she was literally running on unaliving babies. No accountability, no integrity, no trust in God whatsoever. You feel like this is good. Like, how are you a follower of Christ and you're not following Christ and his teachings? Like, make this make sense. The devil got so many. Democrats like pro-choice, gender-affirming care, the support of hormone blockers, men transforming into women, then competing against biological women, men being allowed into women's spaces like restrooms and stuff like this. And you mean to tell me you're a Christian that votes Democrat and you support these things? Like, how can you say that that is godly if you know the Bible? If you know the scripture and you put God first, like literally put God first, how can you say that you can, in good faith, vote for that type of stuff and go to church Sunday and say that you're someone that put God first? Like a double-minded man is unstable in all their ways, and y'all showing it right now. I'm just gonna be real. What it's given is given that you hate Trump far more than you love God or trust God or believe in the scriptures. What is given is lukewarm Christianity is becoming this real type of Christianity, but the Bible tells me differently about the lukewarm is that God spews it out of his mouth, the lukewarm. But so many people are so embodying this lukewarm Christianity, and it's demonic. You're gonna love one, hate the other. You can't serve two masters. And if you say you follow Christ, but you oppose some of the ideas of the Bible, some of the scriptures, then you don't truly fully trust and love Christ. You know, the devil owns the fence if you're straddling. Remember that. I'm gonna tell the truth to shame the devil. I ain't saying this to condemn nobody. I'm saying this to get people to stop saying and start doing. Either you're gonna stand up for what's good, or you're gonna just accept anything for being good. It ain't what I think is good, it's what God says is good. That's what I believe in. That's what I stand for. Now, you're going to sit up here and hate Trump for all this stuff, but what about him bringing God back into the government, bringing God back into the schools, going on a federal level and acknowledging just two genders? Because the Democrats, they feel like it's more than 300 some different genders. But y'all okay with that, though, but you're both. Anyway, you want to sit up here and critique Trump for everything, but you don't want to call out anything that the Democratic Party is doing because you're worldly. The Bible tells me to be in the world but not of it. So do a reality check. Evaluate yourself. Look at God and look at how you live and see if you truly are a follower of Christ, if you're helping the word of God, or if you're in the way, if you're destroying, hurting the church. Be honest with yourself, because that's also something that Christians are called to do. Honesty. God bless.